of District 11 and of San Francisco. I look at my strength as a supervisor, as an elected official, is really based on our relationship with one another and the work that we do together. And I constantly have in my mind the question, am I doing enough to help make sure that we're advancing our interests forward? And that's because my relationship with the community groups that are part of District 11 and part of San Francisco are important and true. And if we want to be able to create change in San Francisco, change that without our doing anything is going to be constant and inevitable, and we want to manage the change that we want to have, we have to work together to make it happen. And District 11 has like the most incredible people who for years have been holding it down in so many different ways, in so many different aspects of our district. Whether it's our parks, whether it's making sure that Rec and Park does what just the basic stuff they need to do for our parks, whether it's the work that reaches out to our commercial corridors to make sure that they're safer, they're cleaner, that we're supporting small businesses, whether it's the work that happens in our schools and our after-school programs. There are residents and leaders of District 11 that have been doing that for a long time. What's important is that when people are doing that work in our communities and our neighborhoods, that they need to have a sense that the relationship that they have with City Hall is one that's true and that's strong, that's going to help actually make sure that City Hall can be responsive to what they need and can assure that we're getting our fair share of resources here in District 11, especially because we do not typically get that from City Hall in San Francisco. 4 years ago, I was campaigning in District 11. I was virtually unknown. No one knew who I was. I had done some work in the neighborhood for almost 9-10 years at that time, but actually did not. I had to go out and have a campaign, recruit volunteers, get to know lots of people to be able to have a really, to be able to win the elective office. But at that time in District 11, we had years and years of disinvestment. We had African-American community here that was leaving in droves and that was suffering from a lot of neglect from our schools and from our community-based organizations and our neighborhood institutions. We had the Excelsior District that was struggling with violence. We had the parts of the southern part of District 11 that didn't even know if they were part of Daly City or San Francisco. We had scores of empty storefronts. We had our parks that were poorly maintained and under-resourced. We had a lot of services that were being cut. And then we had the economic downturn. And then we had the crisis of 2008 that led to higher unemployment and a $500 million budget deficit. And I saw that what we were facing as a community was really challenged by how this city typically maintains services across the city. We get cut out. This past year, we've seen greater investments in San Francisco. The America's Cup is coming. Lots of money coming. The city is shoring up for our ports and piers and parts of District 11 or parts of San Francisco that are closer to the America's Cup action. The Warriors are coming. There's all kinds of developments happening again in downtown San Francisco. We are not seeing the benefits of that. When our budget increases and we have better budget years in San Francisco, we do not see greater investments from our budget coming to District 11. The mayor presented a budget to us on June 1st. There was $80,000 of new money directly coming to District 11 for workforce services. $80,000. That's nothing. $80,000 of workforce development money, that is insufficient. We had $220 million of new money in this budget.
That's right.
And only $80,000 came to this district. That's because the way that the money gets sliced in this city is the dominant voices are out there north of us. And we are so challenged to influence that, but the way we challenge it is what we've been doing together these past few years. So we were able to reprogram dollars for District 11 just the other night. I was up till 5:30 in the morning with my staff, Raquel Redondiez, who's here, and Francis Shea is here, back there. I'm still recovering from being up that early in the morning. But we were able to make sure we moved from $80,000, the first money we've ever gotten directly from the workforce development programs of District of San Francisco. We actually got up to about $500,000 for workforce programs. They're going to bring young people jobs on the streets. They're going to be doing work in our district to improve our district, improve our commercial corridors, and make sure we're doing something more than just the despair that we have, providing only despair in our streets. And the time to do that truly is now. Right. In this part of San Francisco, the OMI, while we've seen improvements here, we are still seeing the African American community in decline and leaving. We're seeing a lot of trouble in the African American community. We've had homicides here just recently, the greatest uptick in homicides we've seen in a long time. We cannot sit on our hands and do nothing. We have to make sure that we are providing the hope, the opportunity, the educational services, the employment services that are going to lift up this community. And the only way to actually get those resources is not to expect the manna from heaven to come from other people, but to work together to bring those dollars here to District 11.
That's right.
I like that kind of talk. I like that, yeah.
He's right.
So I was preparing my notes this morning because I couldn't do it last night because I was sleeping after not sleeping all day yesterday. But just want to go on to about who we are as District 11 and what our vision is and what unites us together. We're a district of working class and middle class people. We don't have millionaires in District 11. There are other parts of San Francisco. We have the lowest per capita income in the entire city and county of San Francisco, but we are rich. We are rich with a vision of what our district should be about. We are rich in a district that supports families and understands that families are not just families with children, but there are partners of the same sex living together. There are multi-generational households that have seniors, and there are seniors who have limited relationships with other people who need our help. And District 11 knows that we have to build our net and our relationship to serve all of these families. We are a district of an immigrant community, and we have to welcome our immigrant community to make sure that our immigrant community has a workplace that is free from abuse, that has rights. We have a district that welcomes LGBT community here in San Francisco as well. It hasn't had that experience of seeing a vibrant LGBT community in San Francisco. That's now coming to District 11 and changing what our diversity is here in District 11. And that's part of how our district is changing. We are a district that is crammed. We're getting more and more dense in our district, and our vision is how can we create greater living arrangements for our housing to make sure that we actually can support people who are living and working and going to school in San Francisco that can have better housing to live in. We are a district of commercial corridors that are thriving. That need to thrive to a greater extent. We need a greater diversity of businesses that can support our communities for education, for printing services, for bikes, for hardware stores. These are the ways we need to build who we are as District 11. We have the most incredible assets of parks, but they are not cared for enough, and so we have to make sure that we use our greatest asset in District 11, the people, to make sure that we are getting what we truly need to advance our neighborhood interests to a greater extent. And so this campaign that I have here before us, that we're working on together, is it's a new direction for District 11. I have to think about, in all the soul searching I've done over the past 6 months, I have to think about how much I've done, how much we can work on together. But this campaign is really building upon how I'm an incumbent. And as an incumbent who has had a base of work that we've done together, that has a base of support, we have to think about how we can increase the support, not just for me, but for our district, increase the voices we have in District 11 that can really make sure that we are doing everything we can for the parts of District 11 that so far have not had the benefit of a lot of government investment and community relationship building. That is the work of my next 4 years. I'm going to be putting forward. 3 years ago, I made a commitment to do community development work in District 11. We've made investments in that, and I want to capitalize that on the years to come. My aide, Raquel Redondias, we're going to be shifting some focus in in my office after I am reelected with your help, and that's going to be looking at how we can do more to build the collaborations between organizations, between community leaders, between our churches, between our educational institutions, that's really going to put our district on the map. So I'll be retreating somewhat from all the intrigue at City Hall, but coming here in District 11 to foster that development here that we know we can truly make. And to do that work, we need to win in November.
That's right.
And the campaigns that we have run together are the most efficient campaigns you could ever imagine. We don't spend a lot of money. We have to raise some money, but we do have, the greatest thing we have is we have people. People who go out on the streets, who go door to door, who get signs up in our commercial corridors, who talk to one another, that advance the idea and the message that we are moving for District 11 forward. And we are a district of very resourceful people. We're a district of people who are fed up with being underserved, and we're going to fight back to get our fair share of city services and government service of San Francisco. And so I want to thank you again for joining me here today. And I want to ask you to please join us again these next few months so we can actually have the kind of campaign that's going to win, that's going to reach out to neighborhoods that aren't necessarily involved in this government process or the work of politics in San Francisco. And that voice that we can generate here will do wonders for our neighborhoods and our communities. I look forward to 4 more years working with you on that. And thank you so much for all your work.